From here, we'll take a big step forward, sending one set of toes directly in front and maybe stepping back with the other foot so the toes can turn towards the long edge of the mat. Setting up for warrior two, a kind of lunge with the back hip open. Letting the hands rise to shoulder height as you're ready. Take a peek at your front foot. Can you see your big toenail just inside of your lunging knee? If not, apply some strength to outwardly rotate that thigh until it becomes visible. Option here to flip your front palm and reach for your hamstring behind you as your front hand rises overhead, reversing your warrior. And exhale might return your hands to that T for strong warrior two as you lengthen the front leg and reach over that long leg, over the front set of toes, and toggling your shoulders as your lower hand connects with your shin and your back hand reaches for 12 o'clock. This is triangle pose. As you're ready, reach as though there's a hand behind you for support. Make a T with both arms at shoulder height and lunge into warrior two once more. All right, we're going to switch to do all of that on the other side. So pivot on the heel of your front foot, bringing your toes to turn towards the same long edge of your mat as the others have been facing. From here, pivot on the heel of the other foot, sending those toes towards the short edge of the mat behind you, now in front of you. Find warrior two on the opposite side as your other leg lunges. Take a peek and look for that toenail just inside of that knee. Choose to flip your front hand over, letting the palm rise skyward as the back hand reaches to drape over your extended leg behind. Reversed warrior. Take a breath here. Option to bend your elbow and cradle your skull. Inhale to unwind, return to warrior two. Choose to extend your front knee, lengthening the front leg as you reach with your front arm over your front toes and toggle shoulders until bottom hand connects with your shin or calf. And your top hand can rise towards the sun, side angle on the other side. Nope, triangle, not side angle. My mistake. As you're ready, come up to standing, lunge into that knee again, find warrior two once more. If you'd like to try side angle, bring your elbow to connect with the top of that lunging thigh as the back hand reaches overhead, maybe making a long angle from your top lifted hand all the way to your grounded footprint behind you. Option from here to reach towards the floor if you have a little more reach in you. Maybe your fingertips find a block or the floor. If you're feeling feisty, you can also work that shoulder underneath, allowing the elbow to bend behind your thigh so that both hands can clasp behind your hips. Again, these are just options to make this side angle yours. Come up as you're ready to warrior two, lengthen your lunging leg, and pivot on the heels of both feet to change your toes direction. And we'll try warrior two on the other side, just long enough to even things out with that side angle. Once you find your strong and long warrior two facing this direction again, bring the elbow to its matching lunging thigh. And reach the back hand overhead. Maybe that clock hand keeps ticking over past your head until you make a long line from lifted fingertips to grounded toes behind you. Side angle. Again, you can stay here or reach for a block or bend at both elbows to bind the hands behind you. Just choices. As you're ready, return to standing, strong warrior 2. You might lengthen your front leg and heel toe or hop the feet to meet in center. All right, for our one-legged balancing pose today, I have dancer to offer. If you'd like to join me with dancer, I encourage you to remember that there are many dance moves and many dances to be had, so let yours look any way that it will. And give yourself some grace. It might be nice to stand close to a wall, as you'll see me do here, and reach out for support a time or two. From your strong, grounded mountain pose, begin to shift your weight into one footprint as the other maybe hovers, peeling off the mat. I like to bend my knee and raise it to hip level, and bring my hand on the same side to glide down the shin until I can reach my ankle. From here, I let my ankle rest in the grip of my hand as the knee becomes heavy towards the floor. And this is enough. You can stay just like this, noticing the open sensation on the front of your hip. You can flex the toes of your lifted foot down towards the floor or your shin. You can also kick that ankle into the clasping hand and make space between your heel and your hip, maybe sending your knee backward in space. You may notice it becomes harder to stay upright, like you're going to fall backwards, so you can reach forward with the other hand for counterbalance. Whoop. That's where the wall comes in handy. Come out and back in as many times as you'd like. Find your way to your variation of dancer pose. From here, you might hinge at the standing hip, reaching forward with your hand and backward with your foot. Still bending in your standing knee. Woo! And see if you find your way out with grace or not. Changing sides as you're ready. I'll just stay facing the same way so you can see what the standing leg side looks like, perhaps. So again, from mountain pose, shifting weight into one foot to lift the other knee. Hand connects with shin, maybe finding the ankle. Tipping the shin upside down, the ankle comes close to the hip as the knee goes towards the floor. Choose to flex the toes of your lifted foot, creating active connection. Can you bend and bounce in your standing knee? You notice your whole footprint on the floor beneath. Maybe reaching out as though with a serving tray in front with your free hand, you begin to kick your lifted ankle into the clasping hand. Think about lifting your whole footprint towards the ceiling as you hinge at your standing leg's hip crease. And maybe if you're feeling feisty, both hands can clasp your lifted foot for an additional heart opener. Maybe it's only momentary. So good job making this yours. Whenever you're ready to join me, I invite you to bring both feet to the floor. Make a lot of space, heel toeing the feet apart. This time, maybe the toes point inward, kind of pigeon-toed, and let your heels point outward towards the corners of your mat behind you. From here, it might be nice to bring your hands to your hips. Again, it could be supportive to have a wall behind you for support so you know you won't fall, even if just for the mental connection there. And we'll hinge at the hips for a wide-legged fold, keeping the hands on the hips or reaching one or both handprints for the floor. And you can stay exactly like this. Remembering you have blocks if they're available. You could bring the floor to you. Choosing the right height of fold, the right amount of fold here. And maybe after a few breaths this way, you begin to have a little more space to tip your forehead towards the floor, assuming that makes sense for your body and blood pressure today. Option to bring your forearms to your blocks for support. Or you might even heel toe your feet farther apart, which will bring your upper body a little bit closer to the floor. Maybe so much that your elbows can reach the mat and your head can rest upside down. See if you can take 3 to 5 breaths here. Long, controlled, comfortable. Pressing into the strength of both whole footprints. Noticing the length of your legs, your hamstrings, your strong quad muscles, the connective tissues of your pelvis that allow your spine to hold you upright. And as you're ready to come out, if you're upside down, find your handprints pressed into the mat so that you can bring your head to face the floor again. Option to add an arm balance here if you'd like. You might choose to heel toe your feet a little closer together so that you can bend at the knees. So you're in kind of a low down, wide squat. Think about goddess pose, but without the knees so outward. They're a little more inward. And from here, walk your handprints straight back underneath your hips until your elbows bend. You might have to heel toe your feet forward or towards each other until your thighs can connect with the backs of your arms, almost like you've created a little shelf with your arms. And then your hamstrings can kind of take a seat on your triceps. Might be nice to make a wide stance between your handprints. And from here, I like to try to heel toe my feet towards each other, starting to activate my abdominal muscles, starting to find that point of connection where the elbows and hamstrings can meet. And maybe, just maybe, your toes want to give each other a little high five. Maybe. Woo! And then maybe you plunk down to the floor, as I have now demonstrated. But as you find your way to the mat, I'll invite you to find another variation of that same wide leg fold. But now with the legs supported against the flatness of the earth and the mat, still making space between the feet, you can flex toenails back towards their same side shins. You might think tall thoughts here and place both handprints on the mat between your thighs. And leading with your heart, keeping your spine long, you can walk your handprints away from your hips, offering your upper body support as you choose to fold any amount. See if you can use your breath to create softness in this transition. Again, if you have blocks or a stack of books, you could bring them to the space in your lap where your elbows can rest. Maybe giving your wrists a chance to make some circles and find some relief. You've been on them a lot. And listen to the sound of your breath. See if you can identify its texture and let it anchor you to this moment, this experience, the sensations of this pose. And as you're ready, be easy with yourself, maybe returning your handprints to the mat or props for support as you lift your upper body away from the floor. Returning to an upright seat. You can move your props out of the way if using them and prepare to sit long ways on your mat for what we call staff pose.